Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're jumping straight into the absolute greatest culinary trick on Earth. It's a process so fundamental, yet honestly so incredibly complex, that it literally sustains our entire world. We're going to break down photosynthesis into super easy terms, so you can see exactly how plants pull off this daily miracle.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Take a really deep breath right now. Go on, fill up your lungs. Do you actually know who you should be thanking for that oxygen? Or, who you should thank for the food on your dinner plate? It's super easy to take for granted, but every single time you inhale and every time you grab a snack, you owe a massive debt of gratitude to a plant.
There's a great quote from the BBC bite-sized science resource that puts it perfectly. Almost all life on Earth depends upon this process. Whether you're eating some fries, biting into an apple, or literally just breathing, a plant made it possible through photosynthesis. Animals, including us, have to constantly hunt down our food, but green plants and algae, they just use light energy to whip up their own. No grocery store required. And this brilliantly illustrates nature's ultimate recipe card. To bake up some food, a plant basically just needs three inputs: sunlight, carbon dioxide from the air, and water from the ground. That's the whole shebang. Through a series of rapid-fire chemical reactions, the plant takes those basic ingredients and transforms them into two outputs: glucose, which is a simple sugar, and oxygen. So carbon dioxide, water, and light go in, glucose and oxygen come out.
But where exactly is this botanical kitchen actually located? Well, to find it, we've got to zoom way in, past the stem, into the leaf, and right down into the individual plant cells. Inside these cells, you'll find these tiny, specialized structures called chloroplasts. This little organelle is where all the magic happens. Without chloroplasts, there's absolutely no photosynthesis.
Now, if the chloroplast is the kitchen, then chlorophyll is the head chef. Or actually, scratch that, it's more like the solar panel powering the stove. Chlorophyll is a green pigment packed inside the chloroplasts, specifically into these little stacks of membranes called thylakoids. And what's absolutely amazing here is that chlorophyll acts like an energy sponge. It absorbs blue and red light from the sun to use as energy, but it actually bounces back or reflects green light. And that right there is the exact reason why plants look green to us.
It's crazy when you look at how perfectly a leaf is architected for this. Because it's so thin, carbon dioxide has a super short distance to travel to get inside. Leaves also have this massive surface area, acting like giant light catchers. Underneath, there are these tiny doorways called stoma that let the carbon dioxide in and the oxygen out. And they're guarded by cellular bouncers, called guard cells, that actually close up shop when it's hot or windy so the plant doesn't lose too much water. Meanwhile, right at the top, palisade cells act like tall boxes, packed completely full of chlorophyll to catch every possible ray of sun.
Step 1. Catching light. So this first phase happens right inside those thylakoid membranes we just talked about. It all starts when light, which travels as both a wave and a tiny massless particle called a photon, hits the leaf. That single photon acts like a power switch. Its energy excites a chlorophyll molecule and triggers a chain reaction that literally splits a water molecule right in half. When that happens, an oxygen atom breaks off, instantly bonds with another one, and creates O2. That's the oxygen gas the plant then releases into the air.
So the crucial point here is that step one doesn't actually make any sugar at all. Instead, it's all about supplying energy. The energy from that split water molecule is used to create two really important chemical compounds, ATP and NADPH. You can just think of these as tiny, fully charged cellular batteries. They store up that solar energy so it can be used in the very next step.
Step 2. Making sugar. This part happens in the stroma, which is the fluid-filled space just outside those membranes. It's often called the dark reaction because it doesn't actually need direct sunlight anymore, just those newly charged batteries we just made. This sugar-making process is called the Calvin cycle. It has 4 main steps. First up, carbon fixation. The plant grabs carbon dioxide from the air and uses an incredibly abundant enzyme called rubisco, the ultimate chef, to lock it down. Second is reduction. This is where our charged batteries step in to energize and transform these molecules into small sugars. Third, the plant forms the actual carbohydrates, dropping out the sweet, finished glucose. And finally, regeneration, where the leftover molecules basically sweep up and reset the kitchen to start the whole cycle over again for the next batch. The plant can then use that glucose right away for energy, or link it together into larger starch molecules to store for winter. But, this brings up a really great question. This is all microscopic, invisible chemical cooking. So how do we actually know plants are making and storing this sugar right in front of us?
Well, the answer is a brilliant little detective experiment called the starch test. You start by hiding a plant in the dark for a couple of days to make it use up its starch reserves. You're basically de-starching it. Then you put it back in bright light for a few hours so it starts photosynthesizing again. Next, you take a leaf, boil it in water to freeze all the chemical reactions, and then boil it in ethanol to strip away the green chlorophyll. Finally, you lay that pale leaf on a tile and add a few drops of iodine. If it turns from yellow-brown to a dark blue-black, boom! You have absolute, visible proof that the plant successfully baked up fresh glucose and stored it as starch.
Section 3. Why plants keep us alive.
Now that we've looked at the microscopic details, let's zoom out. Why does this matter to us? Well, plants sit at the very foundation of almost all food chains. By storing solar energy as glucose and starch, they provide the biological fuel for herbivores, which then provide fuel for carnivores. But what's really interesting about this comparison right here is how it reveals the elegant, circular design of life on Earth. Look at photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus water plus light gives glucose and oxygen. Now look at aerobic respiration, which is how our animal cells unlock energy from food. Glucose plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. They are exact opposites. Plants literally use the carbon dioxide we breathe out, and we use the oxygen they release.
To really put the scale of this into perspective, just think about the number 21. 21% of Earth's entire atmosphere is made up of oxygen, and every single molecule of that oxygen is supplied as a byproduct of this incredible microscopic plant machinery splitting water molecules in the sunlight. That's just wild to think about.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound thought to end on today. We exist in this perfectly balanced, incredibly delicate cycle. We consume exactly what plants produce, and they consume exactly what we breathe out. It's the ultimate partnership. But knowing just how deeply intertwined our survival is with the health of global plant life, what happens to us if we break that perfect cycle? It's a question that definitely makes you look at every green leaf just a little bit differently. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking questions about the amazing world around us.